Okay, 7th graders, I hope that you have been finishing up those surveys and answering surveys that I've emailed out. I think I've only emailed out about 8 or 9 of them. Those are the only ones that were completed and confirmed by me last Friday. So I will get to some more today. Today we are going to be talking about mean, median, mode, and range, okay? These are called the measures of central tendency. So what this is doing is really taking your data and it's finding what the average is and what the range is. And in the normal classroom, we would have defined all of these words already. And maybe some of you already have went through and you've worked on a little bit of this vocabulary. I'm not requiring it, but it reminds me how important it is because these words, you have to know what they mean before we go on. So I'm going to define these words real quick. Okay, and I would write them if I were you. I would just write them at the top of your paper. The mean is the average. Okay, the median is the middle number. Like the median of the road is the middle of the road. The mode is the most often occurring number. And there can be more than one of these. So more than one is possible. Sorry, it's kind of hard. And then the range, the last one, is the largest number minus the smallest. Okay, so those are your 4 new words today. So the first thing that you have to do when you're given a bunch of numbers, and we're going to find these measures of central tendency, is to put them in order from least to greatest. Okay, you have to do this every time. So I am going to write the number 1, and then I have 2 2s. I have a 3. I have 2 4s. And 2 8s. Oops. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'll find the mean. The mean, what you do is you take all of your numbers and you add them up. 1 plus 2 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 4 plus 8 plus 8. And you divide them by how many numbers there are. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 numbers. So 32 divided by, what did I say, 8? And you get 4. So the mean is 4. It's the average. You add them all up. Then my next one is the median. That's your middle number. Okay, so I'm going to go from the smallest side and the largest. I'm going to work my way in. So I kind of just put little marks over it. Now we have an even number, so there's 2 in the middle. So what you do is you take 3 plus 4 divided by 2, and you get 3.5. So the median is 3.5. You only have to do that when there's 2 numbers in the middle. If there was just one, you would take that number. Now the mode is the most often occurring mode. And I get that, it helps me remember most often. Well, here, the most often, we had 2 2s, we had 2 4s, and 2 8s. So all 3 of them are actually going to be the mode. So you have 2, 4, and 8. And I know there's not a ton of room here, guys, so I apologize for that. And the last one is your range. To find your range, we're just going to take 8 minus 1. 8 minus 1, which equals 7. So this is what you guys are going to be doing with one of your measures of data. Okay, so let's go on to B. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put them in order from least to greatest. So 1, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. Then I've got a 4, another 4, a 7, and an 8. It doesn't matter the order that you solve these. I just tend to do them just in the same order, so I don't forget any of them. The mean is going to be your average, so you take all of them and you add them together. So 1 plus 2 plus 2 plus 2 plus 4 plus 4 plus 7 plus 8, and I get 30. And I'm going to divide by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Divided by 8, and I get 3.75. I'm going to check it. And I would recommend doing them, especially in these little ones, just do them twice. Make sure you didn't forget anything. I get the same answer again, 30. So that was good. My next one is my median. This is the middle number. So work your way from in the middle from each side. And again, I cross 3 off on each side and I have 2 in the middle. So 2 plus 4 is 6. 6 divided by 2 is 3. So, and that makes sense because 3 is in the middle of 2 and 4. And then my next one would be mode. And mode is most often, and in this case, the 2 was the most often, because it occurred 3 times. And the next one is a range. 8 minus 1, it was 7. Okay. Hope you guys are doing good. Go on to the next one. Again, we're going to put them in order from least to greatest. So 5, 5. Then it looks like I would go to 20, 20, 25, 30, and 35. Okay. And you can find the mean without putting them in order, but you cannot find the median without putting them in order. So the mean, I'm going to take them and add them up. 5 plus 5 plus 20 plus 20 plus 25 plus 30 plus 35. And you get 140. And I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 divided by 7 numbers. So it's 20. So the average or the mean is 20. The median is our middle number, so I'm going to work my way into the middle. And in this case, I only have one number in the middle, so I don't have to add them together and divide. So my median is 20. My mode is the most often occurring. That is also 5 and 20, so I'm going to put both of those down. And then my last one is the range. That's 35 minus 5, which gives us 30. Okay. So again, we're just working through these. Last one here, we're going to put them in order from least to greatest. Looks like my smallest number would be that 44. Then I've got 48, 48, 49, 59, 61, 63, and 68. So I'll go through and find my 4 measures. My mean is the average. I'm going to take and I'm going to do 44 plus 48 plus 48 plus 49 plus 59 plus 61 plus 63 plus 68. And I get 440. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 numbers. Divided by 8. My mean, I got 55. And I'm just going to check that again, make sure I added them all right. 44 plus 48 plus 48 plus 49 plus 59 plus 61 plus 63 plus 68. I got 440, so it's good. The median, again, is our middle number, so I'm going to work my way to the middle. Check one off on each side. I have two numbers, 49 and 59, so I take and add them together. 49 plus 59, 49 plus 59 gives us 108, divided by 2 gives us 54. That's in the middle of 49 and 59. The mode would be our most often occurring, and our most often occurring was 48. And then our last one, our range, and this shows how wide of range your data was. 68 minus 44, which gives us 24. Had quite a big range on that one. So did the other one, 30 and 24. So these things tell you some information about your data. They tell you what the average would be. They tell you how spread apart your data would be with your range. They tell you where the middle number lies when you put them all in order. And they also tell you which ones occur the most often. So when you're collecting data, this can give you a lot of valuable information more than just the average of something. And that's why we use all of them. So then it says choosing the best measure to describe a set of data. So generally, you can use some of these guidelines. The mean is if you use that if the data is spread fairly evenly. The median is what you use if you have an outlier. Now, an outlier is one number that kind of throws the rest of your data off, okay? And then the mode is the data that involves, when you use that, when the data involves a subject in which many data points of one value are important, such as election results. So you would use the mode when you wanted to know, like, who won prom queen, okay? So we're going to look at these really quick, and we're going to make some decisions. Which one would you use? So this one says, the line plot shows the number of miles each of the 17 members of the cross-country team ran in a week. Which measure of central tendency best describes this data? And justify your answer. So this one says, it doesn't really have an outlier because we have some on the 4, 5, and 6, and then some on the 14, 15, 16, so they're both on the outside. I would say that you'd probably use the mean because there's a similar number on each one, even though there are none in the middle. So let's say the mean, and this is going to give us the average, and then we would say why, and we would say because the data is spread fairly evenly. So I know it may not seem even because there's nothing in the middle, but there's enough on each side that's pretty similar. Letter D, it says the line plot shows the number of miles each of the 17 members of the cross-country team ran in the week, which describes the best measure of central tendency and justify why. Oh, did I goof? It's the same question. You can ignore that one. We'll see more of this up on the next example, so don't worry about that. So then this one says, what is an outlier? What does it look like, and why do we get them when collecting data? So this is really easy to look at. When you see an outlier, it's an extreme value. So notice how all of this data is bundled up here, and then you've got this one right here. So I like to think of an outlier as maybe like a mistake, okay? So someone's collecting data and they are supposed to go out and measure it every single time. And maybe they're supposed to measure how much the tree grew every year. Well, what if somebody went out and they recorded something wrong, or they measured incorrectly in the wrong measurement? Their data would be different from the rest of it. So an outlier would be out here. So you can see that number 12 was an outlier. So the reason why it's important to identify outliers, and there's some rules that we'll talk about in our next lesson, is the fact that it has an effect on the measures of central tendency. And this is going to relate back to like why we use the median when we have an outlier. And so we have some test scores, and we are going to identify the outlier, and then we're going to determine the mean, median, mode, and then we're going to do it without the outlier. So I'm going to put these in order just like I've done in the last ones. So I've got 55, and then my next score would be 88, 89, 90, and 94. Okay, so can you guess which one would be the outlier? Probably that 55, right? That doesn't really match the rest of Sarah's math tests. So we're going to take, and we're going to do this. We're going to find the median. So I'm going to take 55 plus 88 plus 89 plus 90 plus 94. And I get 416. I'm going to divide it by 5. And I get 83.2. Okay, now we're going to take the data and we're going to find the median. 89, 90, 94. So when I find the median, I work my way to the middle. What's my median? 89. And then my mode, what was the most often occurring? Well, there was no mode, which is okay. So you're just going to say no mode. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're going to take out the outlier, and we are going to find the mean without it. So I'm just going to include 88, 89, 90, and 94. So I'm going to add those together. 88 plus 89 plus 90 plus 94, and I get 361. Then you're going to divide it by 4, and I get 90.25. Okay, so we already know, well, let's find the median. So we're going to use these numbers, 88, 89, 90, and 94. So without the outlier, if you take that, what's between 89 and 90? 89.5. And then again, there's no mode. Okay. So with the outlier, our average was an 83.2. Without it, it was a 90.25. Do you see how much different it is? But if you look at the median, look how close they are. So the median is not as affected by the outlier. And that's why they say to use that. If you have a really skewed data point, don't use the mean, because that 55 really brought down Sarah's average. Okay? Okay, so we're going to do this one more time, and then we will go on. So it's identify the outlier in the set of data, then determine how the outlier affects the mean, median, mode of the data. So just like before, I just don't have it set up for you. So you are going to take and you're going to write these in order from least to greatest. So 42, then we go to 58, we go to 57, we go to 61, and 63. So right now, these are all just a few off from each other, 5 from 58 to 63, but you can tell that 42 was the outlier. So first we're going to do it with these numbers, and then we'll do it over here without the 42. I didn't even put those in the right order. Sorry, guys. 57, 58, 57, 58, 61, 63. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is find the mean. Take all these numbers and add them up. 42 plus 57 plus 58 plus 61 plus 63 is 281 divided by 5. So I get 56.2. The median, and it is super important to have these in order when you do the median. So you work your way to the middle. So 58 is our median. And then we do not have a mode. Okay, now we're going to do it with this one. Our mean, add them all up, 57 plus 58 plus 61 plus 63, and I get 239 divided by 4, and I get 59.75. And our median is going to be between 58 and 61. So if you take 58 plus 61 and then you divide it by 2, you get 59.5. And then the mode, we have no mode. Okay, so if you look, there is almost, 3 between the two different medians here, but here they're only off by 1. So the median is more consistent even without that outlier in there. And so that's why you would use the median. So it says, which measure of central tendency describes the data best? With the outlier, and you would say the median, because it is only affected slightly by the outlier, unlike the median, or sorry, mean. Okay, so what you guys are going to do, you should have started this worksheet last week. You're going to finish that up. You've got some questions to do there. That's 7-2. And then you are going to start organizing your data. Okay, so that means that getting those surveys to me is really important. I think I'm going to throw out this box and whisker plot lesson later today as well. It kind of ties with what we just did, and I'm going to have you guys do that. It's not super long. Like I said, I taught you most of that, but I want you to try to do 7-2 first. So I hope you guys had a great weekend, and I'm excited to see you guys working on your projects.